Pickle. Let's go to the Bology Hotline. And we are pleased to be joined by our friend, the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer, the great Craig Way. Mr. Way, it's good to see you. I want you to know that I did read the text message that I sent you as we were texting.
That works.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, we're off and running anyway. All of a sudden I look up and I see a text message from you. Pickle's trying to reach you. I'm like, I'm right here, but it didn't go through. But hey, that's modern technology for you.
Absolutely. Craig, first question. What high school football season is this for you?
In Texas?
In Texas. Let's just go with Texas.
Okay. Then it would be my 44th.
Okay. 44th Texas High School.
Okay, what about not in Texas?
Ooh.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, wait a minute. First of all, correction. Wrong. 46th. Actually started 1980, when I was in college, covering high school football.
Okay.
So 46, 1980 was my first year covering the Carrollton Farmers Branch schools and W.T. White in Dallas for the Carrollton Times Record Chronicle.
Okay.
As a broadcaster, it's my 44th. That started in 82.
Yes, a young Cub reporter, Craig Way, writing about Carrollton Farmers Branch ISD. So the reason I ask that is we're now a week out from the start of Texas high school football season. And as you enter football season number 46, is the buzz still the same? Are you still as geeked up about it as you were back when you were there writing it for the Carrollton paper?
No, I'm geeked up even more.
That's a fair answer.
Because that's the kind of geek I am.
Yeah.
You know, I told the story. You remember this story when we were doing the Scoreboard Live show last year, and we had the Texas Football Days kickoff thing, and our producer, the great Patrick Madrosky, had this idea about having me go back to Lowe's Field and Farmers Branch and walk through the broadcast booth where I was all those years ago and all that stuff. And I did it. And I remember the thing I remember most about that night, and I think it was September the 7th or the 5th, something like that, of 1980, was walking out there for a W.T. White Lake Highlands game, two big, successful 5A programs, and just being wowed by everything in front of me. So I was very wide-eyed and thought it was really, really cool. But as time has gone on, and more of my life has become invested in it, then I found more reasons to get excited about not just the spectacle of everything, but the stories that have been told, and the stories of these towns, these teams, these coaches, the student athletes, the administrators, all of that. Those were the things that had hooked me at the time and have kept me engaged and get me more excited every year. So I'm as excited as I have ever been, if not more so this year than I have all the way back to 1980.
So we obviously primarily covered high school football here on this program, but we also cover a little bit of college, and you got another gig. And so I want to ask you now, what year is this calling Texas football on the radio for you?
Yeah, this is kind of a three-tiered thing, Tab. I started on the network as the studio anchor in 1988. So 88, 4 seasons, 88 through 91. Mm-hmm. And then I was the analyst for 10 football and 9 basketball seasons. Bill Schoening was the play-by-play voice. He left after football 01 to take over the Spurs play-by-play job, which he held until just this year. He's just retired from that. And so I moved into the play-by-play chair in 02. So in answer to your question, it'll be my 24th football season of play-by-play, my 34th year in the booth, and 38th year on the network.
So this is a Texas program that, and this is stunning to think about, but true. Texas is the number 1 team in the preseason AP poll for the first time ever. And so I will ask you, as a guy who has been around this program as long as you have, is this the most buzz you've had around this, you've seen around this program? And if not, what other years compare to the buzz and the hype around this particular Longhorns team?
It's definitely the most buzz, as you might say. I can remember going in 2005. There was a great deal of anticipation coming off the win over Michigan in the Rose Bowl, and Vince Young was coming back, and what could be for 2005. And similar to that, 20 years ago, a lot of people thought that a lot of the hopes and dreams would hinge on what they did in Columbus, Ohio, and they went up there and got a big win over Ohio State. Interesting that 20 years later, it's going to be the same type of thing starting off in Columbus. Although in this day and time and era of the 12-team playoff, one loss in Columbus to the number 3 team in the country on the road is not going to cripple you. Yes, there was other excitement about it. I'm sure going into 2009, 2008 and 2009 both had a great deal of anticipation, but nothing quite like this. And to the point that you just made, I've never come across as many people just stunned or thunderstruck or amazed by that stat that you talked about, that it's the first time they've ever been preseason number 1. I was thrown off, and I asked John Bianco, who handles media relations for Texas, I said, what about 1970? They were coming off an unbeaten national championship team in 69, had almost everybody back except James Street, and they weren't number 1. He said, nope, Ohio State. Ohio State was that year just as they were in 69. Now, Texas went on and got a share of the title in 70. The coaches poll thing, that was always the final coaches poll, came out before the bowl game, and then they had a bunch of guys injured and were beaten by Notre Dame in the rematch in the Cotton Bowl. So they wound up sharing the national title with Nebraska that year. But they weren't number 1 going into that season, and they weren't number 1. The last time they'd been number 2 was 2009 when they got to the championship and lost to Alabama when Colt McCoy got injured early in the game. So, yeah, it was something that just absolutely amazed a lot of people. I was at an event yesterday for sponsors and UT athletic personnel, and that came up. And you could almost hear exclamations coming out of people in the audience, like, really? Really? They've never been preseason number 1. Well, now we get to find out how that shoe fits.
Craig Way, the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer, joins us every Thursday here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation, hashtag TF Today. All right, Craig, I was asked yesterday on a podcast a question that threw me for a little bit of a loop, and I'll tell you the question and the answer. The question was, what is one thing that you are watching for in this Texas high school football season? And the answer I gave was regional balance, because last year, the largest state champions in the UIL, 6A and 5A, were represented by DFW in North Crowley, Austin in Vandegrift, Houston and Richmond Randall, and San Antonio and Smithson Valley. It was a remarkable kind of spread the wealth year as far as the big school state champions are concerned. And I'm interested to see if that is a new trend or if that is a one-off. Is that something that you're going to be keeping an eye on? And is there one or two other things in the broad Texas high school football landscape, storylines that you're going to be monitoring?
Yeah, first of all, I'm in agreement with you about just seeing the regional balance, and I think, by the way, I don't know, here to stay is a pretty heavy-duty, long-ranging term, but I think it may become more the norm than the exception. Yes, the DFW Metroplex, and yes, the greater Houston area are still going to have their moments in the sun, but I do think the rise of programs like Vandegrift and what we may see as well out of the San Antonio area building, especially like in 5A and below, and not necessarily in 6A, but I think we're still going to see that balance. What I am curious to see is how much balance there will be in the lower classifications. You and I talked about this the other day, even down to 2A, and seeing how Region 4 and in 3A, and this will make Pickle smile, Region 4, and seeing what Lano might be able to do. Just seeing these other programs in those regions that haven't been as, shall we say, state championship prevalent as the other two regions are, or other three regions have been in the past. So I'm really curious to see that, even on the lower classification level, more so than the upper classification, because I think it's going to happen. And I think it's going to be more regular and routine than the exception that we see all four regions in the upper classifications compete for state titles pretty regular, seriously compete. Might not win it every year, but seriously compete for it on an annual basis.
Finally, Craig Way, the Texas Football Hall of Famer, joins us every Friday, or every Thursday. Not every Friday, but every Thursday. He can join us every Friday if he wants. Craig, I want to ask you about, to critique our work. I know that you are somebody that you get your big box of Dave Campbell's Texas Football there at the studio at AM 1300 The Zone. You hand them out like the Austin area Santa Claus and hand out those magazines. So I'm going to read off our number one teams that we have in the magazine, and I want to know which of these you disagree with most. Which of these teams that you don't like, but you are most, let's say, most leery of. In 6A, it's South Lake Carroll. In 5A Division I, it's Aledo. In 5A Division II, it's Richmond Randall. 4A Division I, Salina. 4A Division II, Carthage. 3A Division I, Columbus. 3A Division II, Gunner. 2A Division I, Refugio. 2A Division II, Munster. 1A Division I, Gordon. And 1A Division II, Jayton. Which of those number one teams would you have come in, stormed the Dave Campbell's offices and say, I object to that number one ranking? On just about all of them, I'm in lockstep with you, especially in the higher classifications and maybe even 2A. The one that I might go, hey, keep an eye, is the one we talk about every year, 3A. Mm-hmm. Because it has its level of unpredictability. I will not take the lazy route and say, oh, it's just easy to pick, Columbus and Gunner because they won it last year. I know how much work you guys put into it. I only would add on that two elements. One, what we always say about 3A Division I, it's got that great unpredictable air about it because there's so many really good teams that have a shot to win. Franklin is an annual contender. I know you're really high on Paradise. We have yet to see them break through to get to the final. Malakoff is a proven contender. Yes, Pickles Lano Yellow Jackets are right there in the thick of the fight. So there's that bit of unpredictability in 3AD1, and then in 3AD2, you pointed this out about a week ago when you were on my show about we're all going to wait and see how it is with Gunner, because one thing that can always be said about state championship annual contenders is the continuity. And you look at Scott Surratt and what he's done at Carthage there in 4A Division II, and a big, big reason, and he's the first to tell you this, is the continuity they have in the coaching staff. Well, with the change at head coach at Gunner, there's going to be that. Not to say that the coaching still won't be great there. It's going to be a little bit of a different world. And there's plenty of teams that have great talent returning, like Tidehaven, like Lexington, even Wall. Those are teams. And Woodville was a state finalist last year. When we were talking about this new high school football venture on Victory Sports Plus, they were talking about what games might be the most attractive games on October 10th. I said, I'll give you two. One of them is Duncanville DeSoto. Mm-hmm. The other is Newton and Woodville. Yeah. So I'm with you on just about all of those. If I was to say pick one classification where it might go off the grid, I would say 3A. He's Craig Way. He's the Texas High School Football Hall of Famer. You can hear him on the Craig Way Show on AM 1300 The Zone in Austin every day. And then you're going to be with us every Thursday here in this very time slot. So, Craig, appreciate it. Happy football season, my friend, and we'll be talking to you next week.
Happy to have Thursdays return to your fair program.
Thanks, bud. There he goes. Yeah. Craig Way, the Texas High School Hall of Famer, joins us every Thursday.
Lano praise, Thursdays.
Yeah, you're
I'm in my bag right now.
We're very back. You're very back.
I have never been more back.
You're extremely back. So Craig Way, Texas Football Hall of Famer, going to join us every Thursday in this time slot. We appreciate his time.